It's been a little over a day of Spence versus Crawford, and there's already been a lot of people talking about how Errol Spence should maybe consider retirement. We saw the brutal beating that he took against Terence Crawford. We saw when Errol Spence said he was going to activate the rematch clause. Even though I already told you guys in my previous video, I do not think that is a good idea. Realistically, what can Errol Spence do in the rematch? I've already seen a lot of people start making excuses for Errol Spence, but for the one about the long layoff, you guys have to remember that Errol Spence is the guy that says he does not like tune-up fights. Although I think it's very stupid going into a fight against Terence Crawford, who is a very elite fighter. Going into a fight against Terence Crawford with no tune-up to stay sharp is a very dumb idea. And they proved it last Saturday. He got figured out after just 2 rounds and got completely destroyed. Although Terence Crawford isn't that really of an active fighter, he at least managed to get a fight late last year against David Avanesian. If Errol Spence was able to do any adjustments, he would have done them in this fight. I just don't feel that Errol Spence has enough in the toolbox to defeat a guy like Crawford. If I was on Errol Spence's side, I would tell him to get away from Crawford. I honestly do not think it's a very good idea if he wants to keep boxing. If he wants to keep his career alive, stay away from Crawford, bro. Errol Spence has already gone through a lot. He's had that car accident, he had that problem with his eye for the Pacquiao fight. Now he just finished taking that beating from Crawford, and like I said, he's been taking a lot of these long layups after every single fight, which is not gonna help at all. And now there are reports coming out that maybe Errol Spence wasn't fully there on that night. I did see that Errol Spence was looking a little funny, mainly with his eyes. I know a lot of people are gonna say, oh Chris, he looks like that every single day, and I would agree, but the difference here is that his eyes looked a little red to me, almost like if he just woke up from a nap. Like I said, bro, it's not just me. You could go on Twitter, you can go on these other places, they will tell you that he looks a little funny. Some people say he looks a little high, he just doesn't look focused. There is a channel by the name of BDA Boxing, and they had a caller, someone that is apparently a doctor or something like that, and he explained how maybe Errol Spence has some damage and that there was clear signs of it, we just never noticed. During this call, they do bring up some good points, so for the rest of the video, I'm gonna play you some of the interesting parts. If you want to listen to the full thing, it will be in the link in the description. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and yeah.
Hey gentlemen, thank you for having me on. I just wanted to kind of share, from this perspective, I've performed neurological exams on quite a few patients over my years. And when you're looking for somebody who's either had head trauma or maybe has had a stroke, even people with dementia, which is another form of neurological damage, there's certain things that you look for. And my wife, when she saw Errol Spence enter the ring, she asked me, she's like, he looks like he's on marijuana. And I told her, I said, he has residual neurological damage from his car accident. That people have commented on this, but people, if you don't have the experience doing this, you're not going to pick up on it. So one of the things when you're doing a neurological exam on somebody, you look at, there's like a glassy look to a person's eyes when they have either a concussion or they have advanced stages of dementia. And if you compare video of Errol Spence before his accident, just do a little assessment on the eye exam of what I'm telling you. It is apparent. I mean, it is honestly, it is embarrassing how obvious it is that he's significantly compromised. So what I would say to this is just think back to what they did to Muhammad Ali when they let him fight with Parkinson's. People will let somebody get into the ring even though there is obvious issues with their ability to perform in a boxing match. So further evidence of this is listen to his speech patterns, start comparing his speech patterns before his accident to after. There is a distinct difference in his enunciation. I know part of that is because he has dentures, but even just listen to how he is formulating his words, his thought process. He's much, much slower. Now, another component to a sign of advanced neurological damage is a loss of balance. That's why as people age, primary cause of injury for older people is falls. And that's because as the nervous system degrades, the communication to the musculoskeletal system is also compromised. So a lot of the signs that people associate with aging as people get into the 30s in boxing or even sports, it's the first thing to go is your neurological system. So when people talk about timing, and if you kind of listen to what even Spence was saying, Spence doesn't even know what he's saying. He's just commenting that. He's like, oh, my timing was off. My timing was off. That is because his brain is not the same. Now, of course, you can add on to that alcohol abuse, sure. Dropping weight, water dehydration, of course. But he should have never been allowed to get into the boxing match. All you have to do is look at Ugas's fight. You can see a difference in the way he moves. Now, unfortunately, from the neck down, because he's a physical specimen, he looks amazing. But from the neck up, he is not the same person. you look at how badly he was beaten, I can't recall another fight where Crawford looked that good. That's not an accident. When you look at Errol Spence and how he couldn't defend himself, even the first knockdown. The first knockdown was a blow where? It was a blow to his lower chin and to his neck. You throw somebody off their core stability, and they can't recover. He looked very clumsy last night. But once again, this is just something I don't think people want to admit because people are emotionally invested in the fight.
Had he been out of the ring for that amount of time without the drinking, the boozing, the weed, whatever else he was doing, would that have actually helped him maybe reverse some of the effects that you're talking about?
It's conjecture on my part, but I believe that the reason he was out of the ring for so long is because of the damage. He couldn't do it. His team was protecting him, trying to stall, hoping he would come back enough.
When that doctor came in to look at Spence, right? Remember when they said timeout? And they called the doctor up into the ring to look into his eyes. Now, if you were looking for concussion, right? If you were looking for neurological problems, wouldn't you have used a light? Like that's like 101, right? You'll take a little pen light, let it flack by his eyes, just see if there's any response with the pupils. To me, he didn't do that. Didn't say follow my finger. I think they were just biding time, and I don't think they really cared.
We miss a lot of information in real time, and this is something we could talk more about later. I would like everyone to go back and think, watch the fight again. And I pointed this out to my wife. Why did that doctor go in the ring? Nobody knew why. There was a reason why he did that. Because at that point, Errol Spence was not so debilitated that it would necessitate a doctor coming into the ring. It's because they knew ahead of time he was compromised. They were hair trigger. Why do you think the doctor went in? It was a giveaway, but the public missed it.
You're right.
Yeah, you're right.
The public missed it. It is unfortunately very sad, and I agree with Jimmy. Errol Spence should never fight again. He should not be allowed to fight. And I hope more people have the courage to step forward and say this because, being in my position, I have to deliver very uncomfortable news on a daily basis. And if you don't get to a place where you realize being honest with somebody is more important than shilling their feelings, then you're not going to be good in your position or your profession, or this profession, I should say.
Errol Spence before, although he was younger, I think he was more creative in the ring. Now he's just like an autopilot. And he's not really using any type of defense aside from maybe parrying to block the punches. That's not a given. You're going to catch everything the other fighter throws. And
here we go.
The thing with Spence,
very good.
The thing with Spence, he already got knocked out. The mystique is gone. Fighters are going to see this dude's been broken before. He's breakable. Doc, that's all I want to say.
And this is what's beautiful about good. This is what's beautiful about good conversation is that it stimulates people to start thinking. So he just brought up a very, very good point. And then if you remember, Errol Spence's trainer was telling him over and over again, move lateral, move lateral, move lateral. Do you guys recall this?
Absolutely, yes.
He was telling Errol Spence not to stay in front of him, stop moving back and forth. Do you recall this?
I think I heard it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I did.
So James, why could Errol Spence not implement that? Because when a person is neurologically compromised, lateral movement is gone. Your side-to-side diagonal movements are weak. So if you think back, this is why all he could do was go back and forth, front and back. Even my wife said, he can only go front and back. I said, I know, he can't go side to side. Because you go side to side, and what happens? You start losing your balance. Errol Spence knows this. He knows this. Derek James was screaming at him, get off the line, move side to side, move lateral. He literally physically could not do it.